It's 1028 live, man. This is bigger than live PD Nation. This is bigger than cops.
Whew, here we are. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is Doc Skinner with 1028 Live. And, yeah, it's the end of March. It's March 30th. We have one more day. And by the way, tomorrow night, I've got the Cousins brothers from Hawaii. They do the show Third Phase of Moon, which is one of the #1 UFO channels on YouTube out there. So check them out, and then come check them out tomorrow live from Hawaii here on 1028 Live. Okay, I don't know if I'm having anxiety or what, but it's like trying to catch my breath. But no, I'm just anxiety. I'm excited. Hope you're all hanging in there. How many of you out there are still... Oh, yeah, I told you what today is. Let me get rid of the calendar. How many of you have been good boys and girls and have stayed in your room this whole time? Minus going to get milk and whatnot. But, yeah, I've been trying to be good. I've been all, cooped up too. But getting by. Hello to Audrey, Diana, and Tina. What's up? All right, so tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're going to try something a little different, and hopefully Screen Grab will also get audio. If it doesn't, I need you to tell me, and then we'll scrub it, and then worst case scenario, we'll start again just strictly with Zoom. So yeah, as soon as our guest arrives, we'll have him come. We got Mike Bara on the show tonight. He's having dinner right now, so once he's done, he's going to jump on in. Hello, Dave. David Dennis from Australia. That was not Australian. That was still getting over the whatever this is. So yeah, tonight I'm really looking forward to tonight's show. So I've got two cameras going here. So if I'm doing this, camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. So that's what's going on. Okay, it's not a attention deficit disorder or anything like that. Let's see. So what do we got going on here? Okay. Just this is going to be like, if this works, this will be really exciting because this could really up the ante of the show by bringing you all into it. So, what we're going to do... Oh, real quick, I wanted to do this. I'm gonna have a quick little commercial. This is a commercial for the movie Turnover, which I'm in, and it comes out on Amazon this month of April. So let me do that real quick, because yeah, it's a lot of fun. Here it is. Some big names in here. You're gonna recognize some big names. So yeah, it's a great family film. Anyway, it's what the commercial's for, right? Here we go. Let's see. There. And then we hit this magic button. Hopefully it works. Cross our fingers.
You make all the jokes you want, but your new lease here, it's not gonna last at this rate.
The doc thinks that I should take some time off.
I'll find us some new hires in the next couple of days. I'll take care of it.
Have you ever managed people?
No, sir.
Can you start tomorrow?
Here? You don't like fire people because they're late, do you?
Can you lift a lot of dishes?
I have to pick up Gina. She is heavy, like a bowling ball.
You're going to love your new crew.
Well, that's great. I can't wait to meet them. This is like some kind of joke, right? Some YouTube joke, right? Right? I know I've been weird, but I've been thinking, and if you're willing, I could use your help. All of you.
I was a fool, I knew. I'm too close to the edge, I stood.
He doesn't even know I exist. Well, that's why you gotta go back there and put the goods right out in front of him.
I mean, was that your plan, Henry? To sabotage us with a few existentialists and misfits because you couldn't have it your way?
When life gets rough, that is when we come together. Not just as a little local restaurant, but as a family.
I'm starting new right now. Thank you. I'm starting new right now.
Seize the day for tomorrow. You could... you could possibly die.
Yep, sorry folks, there we go, transition. So yeah, that's the movie Turnover. It comes out on Amazon this month. And forgive me folks real quick, but I need to do something. I need to send. Why did that not send? Huh, interesting. Okay, let's try this. Click. Take all that off. And yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry. I'm sending Mike the link real quick. Hopefully he can click on that and then he'll come into the group and then we're going to have our guest on. All right. So let's see here. Go get rid of that. Come back here. There we go. I'm going to make him a panelist and allowed to talk. Hello. Oh, wait, Mike, you're still on mute.
Okay.
All right.
Am I unmuted now?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Hold on. Let me remove one here. Sorry, Misty Smith. Just come back in a bit. Yes. There we go. All right. So then I come over to this camera. Normally you have like a crew doing this stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you got quite the setup there, dude.
Thank you. Let's see. Did that work? Oh wait, helps if I make it so you can see it. All right. Got that going. Good, good, good. And I'm just gonna make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Shabam! Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Bara, live and right here. I'm gonna make this just a little bit. Hold on.
I would rotate it, but it doesn't seem to. It flips me sideways when I do that for some reason.
Okay. Well, hold on. Just making this so it doesn't cut my head off here. And I can go to full page when you start going off and start talking. I'll just full screen you, okay?
Okay, let's see. Does that work? No, then it just.
Yeah, that worked. I mean,
does that work for you?
Yeah, you're still there.
Okay.
Okay.
You're
Whoop. Where'd you go? Womp womp. Womp womp. Where'd he go? Oh no, I guess he pulled the cable out. Did he? No? Yeah. Yep, there he is. Asked to start video. Unmute. Uh-oh. Something happened. There he is. There he is.
Okay, now I can't see you.
You can't see me now?
I hate these things, yeah. There's some weird safe driving mode, it says. Oh, yeah. Somehow I activated something else.
Oh, because it's on your phone. Okay. That makes sense. So how you been?
I've been good. Hang on. Let's start this again. Let me just redo this from scratch, all right?
All right. Take two. Wait. What happened? He just... Oh. What were we trying to do again? No. Ah, I see. So we opened up a new one, so let me remove that one. And did it do it? First time, folks, you're watching this live. Okay, remove. Yes. Well, that didn't work very well. Unmute. There he is. Aha! There you are. All right.
All right, let's just do this now while we've got it going. So.
Yeah, right. So because there's been a lot of internet outages and whatnot recently.
Yeah, and I think that's going to continue. Yeah.
Yeah, and you made a really interesting Sherlock Holmes kind of thing about overlaying the map of that and where a lot of these sealed indictments are going to be.
Right. And it absolutely overlaid right on top of each other. We're going to have to talk about this without showing it, but that's the way it goes. The internet outages from last night, which started precisely at midnight Eastern time on the East Coast, which is when my friend Dean Ryan told me I think they might do it tonight from what he was hearing. Started, and it with the sealed indictment, the majority of these sealed indictments that are alleged to exist, but apparently do exist, I've been told flatly they do exist. There's huge amounts in New York, Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., which not coincidentally are supposedly the hardest hit by the coronavirus, and they're shut down the sharpest. Florida, Texas, Los Angeles and Southern California, a little bit in Utah, and then the Seattle area, which is where I am. And that was where all the major internet outages were yesterday. Although I am in the Seattle area, I did not get hit by it. But
yeah, I was just about to ask you that. Did it affect you?
No, it did not. Although you might argue that things are a little slower than they were. But I think what we're looking at is this was a test run to see if it would work. I know that there are 3 internet kill switches around the country. There's one in Washington, D.C., one in the Midwest, and one in Los Angeles. They could kill the entire internet if they need to. That's not the plan. The plan is to kill, I believe, certain parts of the internet, take them out, erase them, because there are communications nodes that the cabal, the bad guys, use that need to be removed from the entire internet, like surgery. We need to perform surgery on the internet. And I think yesterday was a dry run, a test run to see if they could actually affect the internet in the way that they wanted to. And it looks like it was successful. So I think everything's moving towards this 3 days of darkness, 10 days of darkness, whatever it is. All I can say is if it doesn't happen at this point, I'm going to be sorely disappointed because everything else is lining up.
Yeah, it's all been building up to this. And it's been something that they've been doing, training for years. And this is, it's like you said, it's a test run. Now, what do you say about the test runs that went on? I think it was in Miami and L.A. where they brought in the Apaches and saw guys coming out of a building carrying something. I mean, did we ever figure out what that was all about, or was that seriously just a training mission that just looks really weird?
It was more than a training mission. That location is a compromised location. There was bad stuff going on in there. Whatever they brought out was highly toxic. It was meant to cause mass chaos, if not mass casualties, in Los Angeles. It was removed. But in addition to that, it was also there was a practice training mission component for an operation I was told would take place later in the year in Dubai. And that whole thing happened in April of last year. And then in July, I was told in the summer in Dubai. In July, in Dubai, Osama bin Laden's son, Hamza, who was behind an assassination plot against Trump and Kim when they were in Hanoi for their summit. Remember when their summit just suddenly broke up? It looked like they were headed towards an agreement to denuclearize the North Korean peninsula, and all of a sudden it broke up. Trump went out. He gave a press conference for 39 minutes exactly, got on Air Force One and got the hell out of here. Kim got on his train. And then 15 minutes, 45 minutes later, there was a death price on the head of Hamza bin Laden because he had threatened to nuke Hanoi with a suitcase nuke. And my understanding is that operation was also partially training for taking him out, which happened in Dubai later in July, just like I was told. So that's what I know about that, or at least what I've been told about that.
Wow. Now, you actually went firsthand to the Seattle hospital, or one in Seattle area, correct?
Yeah, it's Auburn, Washington, which is a suburb of the city. Yeah.
Okay, so you went to go investigate this mass. They like the place is packed, and you would think you'd see people's in the hallways, sitting on the floor, and what'd you come to find?
What I found was that, Auburn is a town of 80,000 people in the incorporated area. Just wanted to check that. And there's one main hospital there, and there was nobody in there, just like there was nobody in there 2 weeks ago when this whole thing broke out. What I found it was basically completely empty. There were 2 patients, 8 workers, and 7 workers and a security guard. So, and again, this has been a popular thing trending on Milspec Monkey on Twitter. Has asked people to submit their videos, and there are people from all over the world submitting videos of the emergency rooms, their local closest, nearest by emergency rooms, including in Brooklyn, New York, which should be the epicenter, ground zero of this pandemic. And there's no unusual activity, and there's nobody in these places. You go to the Javits Center, they sent up, I think it was 2,300 beds in the Jacob Javits Center. That's the place. That's the place where Hillary held her campaign rally on election night. Yeah. And you look at the videos of the place and it's empty. So if there is this global pandemic breakout, where are all the patients? I remember decades ago, Pat Buchanan, who was kind of a Trump type candidate for president in 1992, America first, before Trump came along, wrote one time, the people were always saying, oh, there's starving children in America. And Buchanan wrote, okay, if there's starving people in America, where are the dead bodies? Shouldn't they be piling up on all the street corners? Same thing here. Where are the dead bodies? We know there's unusual stuff going on in China because we see it through the satellite images. We know that they have mass casualties, but it's probably not purely the virus. It's probably something else. Although the virus does hit Asian men apparently much harder than it hits other ethnic distinctions. So it's just not happening. I mean, there's just simply no evidence that there is some sort of mass pandemic. So you have to ask yourself the question, why are we shut down? I mean, we went from, in terms of announced deaths, and remember, when they say, oh, there's 2,814 deaths, which I think is the total today. I think I read that earlier. That's reported deaths. And also you have to understand that a lot of people who die, if they're 80 years old and they have kidney failure and emphysema and diabetes, and they die of kidney failure, but they also tested positive for coronavirus, even though they might not have had any symptoms, they're listing them as having died of coronavirus, when in fact they probably just died of kidney failure. So anybody who's had the virus is counted as a coronavirus death, whether or not they died from the coronavirus. So putting all this stuff together, when the death rate goes up from 2,400 and some yesterday to 2,814 today, so 300 or 400 more deaths, you got to understand, 1,000 people die in America every day from heart disease. 700 people die from stroke. 800 people die from stroke every day. So why are we shutting down our entire economy over something that is like 10th on the daily death list? And we keep hearing, oh, it's going to explode. It's going to grow exponentially. It's going to grow geometrically, blah, blah, blah. It's never happened. We're 4-6 weeks into this epidemic, and where are all the dead people? I don't know. I don't see them.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got all these celebrities that are dying, which I told everybody that was going to happen, and some were probably going to use it to just, disappear. Then I've seen in the past 48 hours these reports about certain mainstream channels, we'll say, that have been using images, like one image that they said, this is France and this is how terrible it is. but then they used the same image, which was taken a few feet over to
Yeah.
the left, the same room, saying that's the United States. Same with these coffins, which it shows this huge open warehouse and all these wood coffins, and they said this is all from Italy, and it's the same image that was used in something else a couple years ago and in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but guess what? The mainstream media
editors or
no, this is a deliberate plan. Look, the plan was, since Russia collusion failed, and there's going to be a recession failed, and the Ukraine thing failed, and impeachment failed. Right after impeachment, in fact, even before impeachment ended, along comes coronavirus. So this is their deep state's desperate and hopefully last attempt to bring down the Trump administration. So there is a definite agenda on the part of the news media and everyone in it to make this seem as bad as they possibly can. Now, we are in a state of national emergency, which we're in. Most people don't know this, but we're in that we've been in a state of national emergency since 1933, since the New Deal, because the entire New Deal is extra constitutional, but that's beside the point at the moment. But we've been in a true state of national emergency. Our economy's been shut down for what now, 3-4 weeks, based on a fairly normal flu breakout at this point. We keep hearing how much more virulent it is. We keep hearing how much worse it is. I did talk to a friend tonight in Chicago who's got a friend in New York. She knows 2 people in Chicago that got it. I'm like, well, okay, first of all, that's hearsay, but I believe my friend. But that's the first time I've talked to anybody who knows anybody that's got this virus. So I don't know anybody. You probably, I don't think, know anybody that actually has this. Yet the percentage of celebrities, athletes, entertainers, politicians, and members of royal families that have come down with this is huge. It's gigantic. I mean, as a percentage of the population, there's simply no way they could all come down with this. And of course, there's some theory that they all take some illegal wonder drugs to keep themselves youthful and energetic, and that was deliberately tainted in the lab in Wuhan with the virus in order to kind of mark the people that they need to target as being part of these cults and sex trafficking cults and things that have been going on for years. So I don't know if that's true. I just know that look, you have the same instincts I do. I smelled a rat with this from the beginning. Anytime you see the entire mainstream media pushing one narrative, first of all, it's a lie. Secondly, it's not in the interest of the American people. That's 2 things you can conclude immediately. And when I saw this, my antenna went up, my radars. I said, this is not what it appears to be, and I'm going to dig into it and find out what's really going on. Yeah. And, I mean, it's possible that this flu could get worse, but as it stands now, there's no exponential growth in cases. There's no exponential growth in deaths, and it's not affecting the vast, vast majority of average Americans.
But they promised that in the movies.
Well, you know as well as I do that movies are reality. Movies are.
Oh yes.
Look, the best way to shoot a gun is to look down the barrel like this, pull the trigger like James Bond does. You'll never hit anything doing that, right? Right. Just a little piece of advice: if you have a gun but you're not experienced, shoot it as if you were stabbing the person. Like take the gun and point it at them like you're stabbing them, and the bullet will go right through them. Just aim for the chest, right through them. Trust me, that'll work. A friend of mine taught me that. Steve Doran, one of my best friends, wonderful guy in Arizona.
Well, wait, isn't that why John Wick is always doing this?
Yeah. Well, John Wick's special because it's a movie and he can kill anybody he wants. But no, I had a training gun, plastic gun with a laser on it, and like I was trying to shoot it the way Daniel Craig does in the Bond movies. Nothing ever worked, right? And he said, "No, you're doing it all wrong. Just point it at the object like you're stabbing it." And I went, "Oh, okay." And I started pointing, and every time the little red dot would be like right where I was aiming. So it works. But yeah, it's movies are not reality, right? No. And this is definitely an attempt by the deep state with the collusion of the media and the 90% of the media, even a lot of Fox News, who are the only sort of last bastion of sanity that we have left in the media, to try to blame Donald Trump for this whole thing and bring his administration down. And he seems to have flipped the script. The question is just how far is he going to go? Has he given the green light? And is the counterattack that we've all been hearing about and hoping for, at least I've been hoping for the last 3 years, really going to happen? Is it really going to take place? We'll see.
Now, what do you know about all of these DUMBs, underground military bases, that supposedly have been taken over by the White Hats? There's been all these underground James Bond battles going on, and now Congress has kind of slipped something into a bill for, I think, $2 million for underground military combat tactical training or something to that effect. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I have heard of it. Deep underground military bases, or DUMBs, that they do exist all over the place. They have been used, a lot of them, for child trafficking and drug running through the underground system. There are rumors, solid rumors from people that I think are pretty solid, that a submarine can go into an entrance under Catalina Island in L.A. and come up in Area 51 in Nevada. And that there's these vast networks underneath, and that there's bases. And if you look at the earthquakes that have been happening in the last week, they happened around a bunch of areas where people have said for years that there are these deep underground military bases. Utah is a major center for these deep underground military bases, and Utah had an earthquake, which it doesn't ever have, last week. And so those things are not coincidences. And I understand that they are being taken out bit by bit. There was a major earthquake right after Trump took office. There was a major earthquake right along the border with San Diego. And I'm like, folks, that wasn't an earthquake. That was them bombing all the tunnels where the illegals were sneaking up underneath. So those were bombed out. So yeah, I believe that's absolutely true. I don't have a whole lot of information on that. Some of my contacts have gone silent, maybe for personal reasons, or maybe because, they've been told to. I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's the story about when the Washington, D.C. earthquake. That was a battle that was going on with the tunnel system going along the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And it went all the way to Florida to a ventilation system right next to a baseball stadium. It was part of the stadium's air conditioning system or whatever.
Right.
And the noise was so loud, it sounded like whispering banshees flying around the stadium, to where the commentators of the live broadcast were talking about it. And,
oh, really? I have not seen that video. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, everybody's like looking around. I mean, they're still playing, but they're all like, "What is that?" And they're saying, "Yeah, it sounds like a ghost just walked on in," and it's
yeah.
And it was right after the earthquake, so that was supposedly a neutron bomb or some kind of bomb in the air pressure coming out through the air system.
Oh, caused the sound.
Yeah.
I do know Dean Ryan, my colleague on the Real Deal reports that I've been doing every day with Jim Fetzer and Dean. Dean told me earlier today, I hope I'm not breaking anything that Dean wants to break, but that affluent areas of Washington, D.C. were hammered last night with the police, that there were not military, but regular police were conducting all kinds of raids in some of the richer areas of Washington, D.C. last night. Now, again, this is logically what you do. You cut off internet access and phone access, because it was also cell phone, and most people these days don't have landlines anymore. They use cell phones to communicate. So if you can cut that stuff off, then you can keep people from escaping. They can't be warned. They can't warn anybody else, and you can go get them. So hopefully that is what's happening.
Wow. Well, so that's part of all the SEAL indictments. Now, this ship, these two medical ships.
Yeah.
Some people are like, Yahoo, Mountain Dew, that's awesome. This is going to be great. Others are going, oh no, they're going to take you to Gitmo. Do these ships have anything to do with all that? Because, and the other thing before I forget, I wanted to mention, because we're still in the earthquake thing. What do you know about the supposed bunker under Arlington Cemetery? Supposedly, rumors on the internet is that's one of the letters at the funeral that said Arlington's closed. Do you know about that? Is that something that's
that it was a secret base, the secret bunker. This is frequently supposedly where they took Dick Cheney when Bush would do his speeches back during 9/11, and we were afraid of another terrorist attack. That this was built after 9/11, and that it was a secret cabal hideout. And yeah, I hadn't heard that one. I hadn't heard that the little cards, had
That's just
had said that on them. I hadn't heard that, but I'm told that's not what it was. My information is that what was on the cards was a photograph of an artifact that is a artifact that these secret societies have been fighting over for centuries, and that was assumed to be destroyed. And what Trump was showing them is like the spear of destiny or something, the spear that pierced the side of Christ at the crucifixion. And that's what was on the images. But looking at Jeb Bush, I
want to know about that.
That's what it was. But I will say this: whatever was on that piece of paper, that Barbara Bush, Barbara, no, what's W's wife's name?
It's Barbara, right?
Is it Barbara?
Barbara.
Yeah.
Bruce.
Okay.
Bush.
Well, is that W's wife's name? Laura.
No,
Bush.
Laura is Junior's wife.
W's wife.
Second one. Yes.
I don't know.
Anyway,
it's Laura. Well,
Mom.
our former first lady.
We'll call her Mom.
I mean, why am I brain farting here? I don't know. Yeah, it's Laura Bush. When she showed Jeb that piece of paper, I mean, she just flashes it, and you saw it. He sees it, and he goes, "Oh, he's got his and then he gets really pissed at Trump." So, clearly, what it had to be is it had to be a picture, or it could have been a very short phrase like that in big block letters: "Arlington's closed." And what he's basically telling them is that there's no escape at that point. So, the thing is that if that warning shot was fired way back a year and a half ago when that funeral took place, why didn't they move then? Why?
That's what we were.
So that's. I mean, it's weird because you don't want them to know that you're onto them. I would think this would all work better if it was a sneak attack. But maybe with the Q stuff that's out there, maybe they don't care. Maybe there's really nothing the bad guys can do about it. Maybe they're boxed into the point. They've been maneuvered to the point that they really can't fight back. So I don't know. It's very weird.
All I know is it felt like I was watching a new episode of The Godfather at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
It was intense. It was.
Whoever approaches you at the funeral, that's the traitor. Yeah. Remember, Mike. Whoever approaches you at the funeral, that's the traitor. I always thought it would have been Clemenza, but no, it was low energy Jeb.
Well, you mentioned it, so let's segue over to Q, shall we? Now,
sure.
I have been hearing.
We never got to the ships. We'll come back to the ships.
Oh, the ships. Yeah. We'll do the ships, and then we'll go into Q.
Okay.
All right. So, tell me what you know about these ships. Are they legit? Is it something we should be concerned about?
Well, they are prison ships. They're not hospital ships.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But they are not for good people. They are for the bad guys. And they are going to be used to get the people out of New York and Washington, which is where you've got the biggest cluster of deep state dinosaurs. And they're going to be piled onto these ships and driven to Gitmo. And that's what's going to happen when this all comes down. Now, if we do go into a period of darkness, 3 days is plenty of time to sail a bunch of high value targets to Gitmo and come back. So, here's the USN Comfort. There it is, docked. Oh, it's still there. Look, and now it's got a bunch of hospital patients in it. So I'm sure they could convert it to a hospital ship, but what my understanding is that they are prison ships.
Yeah.
And that they are going to be putting a couple thousand people on each of them. And after they are arrested, after the darkness, and that's what they're going to do. And they're going to move them down there. So it's not for us. I mean, look, the ships both came in and they both made a queue.
I know.
When they sailed in yesterday.
There's our segue.
So,
yeah, and what was that? Was that just a satellite tracking of it? Because that's not the first time that has happened. The other time it happened with Air Force One over the area where JFK Jr. supposedly, disappeared.
Well, there was one time too where Air Force One's call sign was Q1 or Q17 or something like that. It's like, yeah, sure, okay. Now look, because because look, yeah, you can track any ship at sea, any plane in the air, any helicopter in the air that's using an official transponder. There's places on the internet where you can watch them. I like to do that once in a while. Watch plane traffic, watch helicopter traffic. That's how we know that boxes of documents were taken from Utah, where what's his name was doing his investigation. Is it Hubert? Is it Hubert? Yeah, was doing his investigation, and documents were flown on a 757 from Utah back to Washington, D.C. Boxes and boxes of documents. And again, Utah being a major center of the child trafficking, Utah is important because that's where the Mormon crime families, the Corleones and the LeBarons, the Romneys and the LeBarons. Did I say that out loud? I like to call them the Corleones and the Tatalias, the Mormon Corleones and Tatalias, right? The LeBarons and the Romneys. That's where they bring their drugs and their child brides across the border and into these underground facilities in Utah for the processing. So,
and
that's why Utah's a target. That's why it's important.
And it's a huge industry. I mean, it's down probably to science with barcodes and whatnot. I mean, they've got this, all the
probably tattoos.
Oh yeah. Oh well, no, that is actually a sign if like for girls, anybody, if they belong to somebody, all the girls will have matching tattoos. By
the way, that's my Seahawks championship ring. So Russell Wilson gave that to me. No, it's a replica. Okay. Anyway.
Oh yeah, so they'll have like matching tattoos, maybe behind their ear or something.
Mm-hmm.
It says that they're in that corral, as they might say.
Yeah.
I knew that the tunnels were real when I started noticing. When I grew up, at least on the weekends, every weekend, you'd see military convoys going down the highway between Dallas and Fort Worth and Abilene and all these other places. Always. And then you just don't see it, except maybe once every 6 months. Just so they remember where the highway is. It's
yeah.
So yeah, and they do. It's crazy. So with all that what do you see coming down the pipeline?
Well, I do see the days of darkness coming, and if I've been told it could have started early last night, which is why things got really exciting around 9 o'clock here on the West Coast, 12 midnight, when the internet started to go out back east.
Really? Okay.
And then, or Tuesday night, midnight, Wednesday the 1st. A lot of people think April 1st. I think for reasons having to do with gematria, and numerology, it's more likely that it will be Thursday, but I do think it's sooner rather than later that we will go into this period of darkness. And David Wilcock, who, like a lot of people, I get very irritated when I hear things I talked about 6 weeks ago come out of his mouth as if it's his information. Having said that, he's a sweet guy. I don't think he does anything on purpose like that, but he did point out some information yesterday, which he found that I think is interesting, which is that they aren't going to
do the 3 hours. So what was it?
Yeah. There's really the first part when he starts to do the meditation and the humming and all that shit. I'm done. But sorry, can I swear on this? I just did, so it's irrelevant. But
$500 fine.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Good.
But he did say that his information. I had heard 10, 5, and 3 days as possibilities, 3 being the minimum, depending on how quickly the operations move. He said he heard 3 days, and they would not shut off the electricity, they would not shut off the water, that we would have power and water, but that the internet would go dark because they needed to go through and clean out some nodes that were dark, bad guy nodes and things like that, and replace them with new equipment, and that cell phone would be unusable. That the only communication you would be getting would be through the emergency broadcast system, and that in 8-hour cycles, 24 hours a day, they would be playing an 8-hour informational video of what was going on, why it was happening, and who was guilty. And then when we came out of that 3, 5, or 10 days of darkness, that went like that. In other words, that would be the only thing you could get on your phone or your television would be this running 24 hours, unless you had an emergency. 911 would still work. And then when we came out of that, whether it was 3 days, 5 days, or 10 days, that at the end of that cycle, they would start broadcasting the military tribunals, the confessions, and so on, to try to get everybody woken up. So that, I think, is interesting information. I know one of his sources. He's also a source of mine. I didn't realize this until yesterday, or the day before, when a friend of mine, Candace, told me. And I do believe that is probably what's going to happen. And I think, if I had to guess, I would say Thursday is when that's going to happen. Now, whether it's Thursday at midnight, Thursday at 9 a.m, I don't know. But I think that something like that is going to happen. I think last night was a test run. And if it doesn't happen in the next week, I'm going to be really sorely disappointed. Like I said, I'm going to be shocked, because if this isn't a storm, there is no storm. And it sure looks to me like this is a storm, given all the other things that have happened and lined up. I mean, basically, I'd heard these stories, and what the plan was to turn over the financial system and turn over the judicial system and restore the republic and all this other stuff. And this is following the plan exactly so far, step by step by step by step.
Let's talk about real quick the whole. I am completely new to it. I just found out, was it yesterday or today? I talked to you about it, saying, did we get control of the Federal Reserve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what does that mean? I mean, because there's supposedly no gold in Fort Knox. I mean, if we're going to be doing the gold standard, I mean, how's this going to work out?
Well, we do have more gold than any other country, as I understand it. Although I don't think that's necessarily true. I think most of the world's gold, from what I hear, is actually held in the Philippines in underground caves, which was until recently a United States protectorate. It was, basically part of the United States, a territory. So that may or may not be true. The United States does have control over a lot of gold. I also hear China, some of the so-called dragon families of China, who claim to have humanity's best interests at heart, also have a lot of gold. It will not be a gold standard. It will be an asset-backed standard, meaning that our dollar will be no longer valued based on some random paper designation of its value, but it will be based on something solid like gold or other assets. Other assets can be oil, coal, the labor of our people, those kinds of things. And that will also help other countries that are extremely poor, that are very productive, like Vietnam's a very productive country, but the people are very poor and the money's almost worthless. Their money will go from being worth fractions of a penny, even if it went up to a nickel. If you have a million Vietnamese dong right now, it's worth about $50. But if that value suddenly switched to 5 cents, guess what? It would be worth 50,000, that piece of paper. So that's kind of what I see happening, is that all the world's currencies get more balanced, that we have a more balanced state of affairs in terms of trade. So in order to do this, the Federal Reserve has to be destroyed, had to be eliminated, because the Federal Reserve is a privately owned bank. It is not a government institution. People think it's an institution because it says Federal Reserve. It's been owned by private bankers forever. They're European, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Warburg Pincus, people that have held the U.S. debt since, 1789 at a minimum, and have used interest and usury and all these kinds of things to basically keep us in a perpetual state of debt for the entire existence almost of the United States of America. But let's be honest, it's because we didn't pay our debts after the Revolutionary War. So that's part of the problem. But it's all paper money. It's all fiat currency, and that all had to be destroyed. It's interesting because if you look, I don't have any money with me right now, but if you look at the new $100 bills, if you want, you can pull them up on your computer, folks.
Because I don't have
half of the new $100 bill says Federal Reserve, and it's green and kind of gray, and then on the other half it says United States Treasury, and then there's gold all over it. So they were telling us, basically telling us, giving us a preview that we're transitioning from one to the other. So the Fed's books and the Treasury's books have now been joined. Now, by law, because the banksters set it up this way through the Congress, which they bought and sold, and held in their pockets like so many nickels and dimes. I think we're going back to The Godfather again. They had arranged so that they were the ones who printed the money. They were the ones who loaned the money. Basically what happens actually is the Treasury prints the money, gives it to the Federal Reserve, who then loans it back to the United States with interest and makes us, you and me, pay the interest and the debt on it. Pay the debt and the interest on the debt. But what people don't know is that you could take one gold coin, one ounce, 0.9999 pure gold coin, in 1 ounce in the denomination of $23 trillion, walk that gold coin, which in real value is only worth, what, $1,800 right now?
Yeah.
Over to the Federal Reserve window and say, here, your paper debt is paid off, because this is money of real value, as opposed to fiat currencies, which are based on our birth certificates and all kinds of other paper things. It's not really based on anything of true value, unless you consider a human life to have true value, which I do. So basically what was in this bill is that there are these special SPVs, they call them, special privilege vouchers. Is that what they are? SPV. It's great to do a show like this because I can do interact. Special purpose vehicles. And the special purpose vehicles are designed to, basically, the president controls SPVs. So when the Federal Reserve, in order to create certain types of loan programs, had to get into the SPV system, what happened is effectively the Treasury absorbed the Federal Reserve like a white blood cell absorbing a cancer cell and destroying it, or the Borg assimilating a person. So they will probably coexist side by side for the better part of a year, which is what I've heard. And then there will simply be the Treasury, and the Federal Reserve Bank will no longer exist. And what that means is that all the banksters are done. Now, the interesting thing is that I can't imagine that they agreed to this voluntarily. So they must have snuck this in. This must have been something that was in the provisions of this rescue bill that the white hats slipped in there. And because all the focus was on all the crazy, stupid stuff that Nancy Pelosi wanted, the $25 million for the Kennedy Center and all that stuff.
I mean,
they were focused on that. Maybe they were able to just slip this in and get them to pass it, and not realizing they were slitting their own throats. Because once the Federal Reserve is controlled by the Trump administration, then that cuts off the money flow to the deep state, to the dark side. So they're cut off. And once they're cut off, they have nowhere to go and no place to hide. And it's only a matter of time before they're all brought to justice. And I can't believe they voluntarily went for that. I suspect at this point that they're probably messing their pants, given the power that Trump now has. And it's interesting that the guy who wrote the main article on Yahoo, didn't seem to he's the one who figured it out. He's like, oh my God, this means Trump is effectively the Fed chairman. Well, there isn't going to be a Fed much longer. And he's got, I want to say Janet Yellen, but that's not her. He's got a recent appointee to the Federal Reserve Board. She's a gold standard person. She's going to have a lot of control over this inside the Federal Reserve, and as it transitions into the Treasury. And the thing is, too, is remember the IRS is part of the Federal Reserve. It is not part really of the Treasury. It is effectively under the Treasury, but they're the bill collectors for the European bankers. So if the European bankers aren't in charge anymore, how much longer is the IRS going to be with us? That's another interesting question. Hopefully not much longer.
So the IRS goes, doesn't mean all. I mean, they're going to have some.
No, you just have you have a flat sales tax. Let's say 15 or 17%. I've heard 17% is all they really need to pay all the bills.
Well, that's all I had to do. If I just had to pay for things I bought, and I mean, because they're taking taxes out of a paycheck, but then when you get your paycheck, they take out more. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So if they could keep it simple, because I've been to places like in the islands down south in the Caribbean, where it's just straight flat tax.
Yeah, well, the reason that they've taxed income is because, rich people don't have income. They have assets, they have possessions, they have trusts. So they don't get their money in income. The reason they taxed income and defined it the way they defined it when the income tax was brought in is because that's what you and I have. Because most of us don't own businesses or foundations and all these other things and entities and LLCs. We don't own those things. We're the average guy. So the purpose of the income tax is to make sure that guys like you and me can never become like them, can never become wealthy. That's why they tax income. Because number one, they don't have any income. It's all hidden in other shell companies and so forth. And we do. It keeps them on top and us at the bottom.
Yeah. It's been like that for a long time. And now they're just getting smarter. So now, boy, the whole thing with Q, people are saying, and some like, who was it? It was Dylan Monroe, I think, even mentioned. He was all about Q, but now he's saying, beware of Q in a sense, not fully, but he's just like, nah, I'm questioning it now. Have you seen anything that's changed your perspective on what Q's all about and what the mission is?
Yeah, I was pretty pro Q for a long time, but as years and years have gone by and nothing has happened and no one has been brought to justice, and Tom Hanks and Jim Comey and James Clapper and Brennan and Hillary continue to walk free and mock us and flaunt the lack of consequences for their actions. I've become concerned in the last year or so that Q is in fact flypaper, that the real purpose of Q is to keep people who are following this with expectations and waiting for something to happen, to basically keep us from rioting, to keep us from going out into the streets. By the way, Dr. Pepper is nectar of the gods. And I should go get one. And that's why, that's I've doubted Q too. Now, recently I talked to a friend who I've known for a while, and she told me that she's pretty positive she knows who Q is. And she told me the person's name. And it's a guy that I know, that I've met on a couple of occasions, that I've drank with and talked with, who I know is really connected. He's connected to a former president. I know two people that are connected to former presidents. And he is a patriot. He is absolutely a patriot. And according to her, he's actually the guy who does the Q posts. The Q posts, as I was told, are actually generated from a very complex AI program. And, this whole thing with these Q clocks, it's like the Mayan calendar and these things interlink and you go, 2-year mirror from today. And you go back to that. And then it can, and all these different posts that don't seem to be anything individually, when you follow the pattern, the mathematical pattern, seem to connect and paint a certain picture.
Including like
that's all generated.
The timestamps too, how that
the timestamps. That's all coordinated through what sounds like a quantum computer to me, is what it sounds like. Quantum AI, which I had heard there was just such a thing that was going to take over the financial system. I begin to have my serious doubts about that. But now, I may not be, because this person is a patriot. This person is a real guy, and he has maybe not been the main guy behind Q from the beginning, but apparently he's on the team and he's been doing the drops, as I was told, since December. So I can't tell you who it is. He's been a source of mine since I think I first met him in 2007, 2006. So known him for a long time, and he's a straight up guy. And I'm going to have to call him here, assuming there's no days of darkness, and ask him, hey, are you Q right now, buddy? So in other words, if it turned out to be him, I would say, yeah, Q's a real thing, because I know he's a real person, and I know he's been on this trail for a long time. Now, whether or not he's connected to the current administration, I don't know, but I would think so. So, I was told a lot of stuff, and at this point with Q, look, if the days of darkness happen, then yeah, we'll know it's all real.
Wow.
Right now, I'm leaning more towards, Q's a real thing.
Okay.
and not flypaper, not meant to keep the patriots from rioting. Because look, let's face facts. If some of these people don't pay for their crimes, and again, even the crimes we know about, which are nothing compared to the crimes that they don't want us to know about.
Yeah.
If they don't pay a price, some of them, then we're the ones who are going to be out rioting in the streets. I know that part of the shutdown is designed to keep all the Antifa nutbags from going out and rioting. Well, who do you think is going to be rioting if these people just skate away?
Right.
After 4 or 5 years, after all the things they've attempted to do in the last 3 years, 4 years, really.
And do you think Project Looking Glass is an element, a tool in all this?
It could be, but you know what? I don't believe in time travel. So I don't know if I believe in Looking Glass. Looking Glass is really, it's like the guardian of forever from the Star Trek episode, sitting on the edge of forever, right? Where they can watch history and then they jump through at a certain time. I don't know if that's possible. I can't even imagine what sort of technology would be involved in being able to do that. Because, imagine this. The planet is rotating at, I don't know, I guess I could look it up, but 1,000 miles an hour, let's say. It's rotating. It's flying through space at about 25,000 miles an hour. It's orbiting around the sun at that speed. It's the whole solar system is traveling through the galaxy, and it goes in this wavy pattern up and down, and it twists and roils like this. So what you're saying is, I'm going to go back in time a year ago. You have to be able to figure out not just when you want to go, but where you want to go. Where precisely in space was I 1 year ago today, and where is that place now? And by the way, I've got to beam you there, right? So you're on the floor, standing on the carpet of your apartment, and not buried. Whoop! We missed by 6 feet. He's buried in solid rock. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's
kind of like, I just think it's really hard to figure that out. So the Looking Glass stuff has been around for a long time, and again, calling it a looking glass, it may simply be that you can watch history, and as events unfold, you can see how past events and timelines get healed or changed. But I don't know that you can actually alter them or go back in time. If you could, it would really mess things up, I would think.
Well, then how would you say, I'm being sarcastic, sorry. What about all these CEOs that just all of a sudden knew, I got to bail out and cash in my chips?
Well, there were other indications. You can see the walls closing in. You can look at the arrests. You can look at the sealed indictments. A lot of people look at all the resignations of politicians and CEOs and bankers, some murders of bankers. There's a lot of people.
Recent suicide of the Germany money guy yesterday.
Wasn't a suicide. And then the people that invented hydroxychloroquine, which is the cure for coronavirus, were recently murdered. Come on. So you have all this stuff going on, and it seems pretty clear that it's like there's a plan being executed. The people, you start at the bottom and you work your way up to the top.
Right.
And we're waiting for something to happen near the top to let us, so we can believe that Q is a real thing.
Sign.
And I was told, hey, this is really complex and timing is everything and all this other stuff. And it's like, yeah, I'm there, but Q needs to throw us a bone. McCabe, right. Comey, Clapper, somebody needs to be frog marched, I think, before this all happened. But now that we're in this whole national emergency and there's an opportunity to just execute the plan and all in one fell swoop, maybe that's never going to happen. Maybe we're just going to wake up one day and it's all going to be over.
It'd be so anticlimactic. Like, I've been so waiting to see some action.
No, we'll see action. Trust me.
Not that I encourage that this happens, but we know it's going to happen, and you wait so many years and research and study and prepare, and now it's here, and I feel so just mellow and calm about it.
There are other people who tell me, well, you're really just watching a battle between two secret societies, and neither one is good, and neither one is bad, and neither one really has the best interest of the people in mind. That may be true. But I know that the one side that I can see, I know what they've done to our country, to our people, to our children. I know what they've done. The people on that side, I know who they are, and I know what they want to do. And if they had won, if their candidate Hillary had won, we would have already had a nuclear war, which would have been devastating for us and for the planet. So maybe the guys we think are the white hats really aren't white hats. Maybe they're gray hats. Maybe they're just as bad as the other guys. I don't believe that. I'm willing, even if that's true, I'm willing to give them a shot, because the other guys have already proven to me that they can't handle the job. And you know what I honestly hear is that there are different choices that have been put out there for people, and that there are different scenarios. And one of them is called the Star Trek scenario, which is that capitalism is the illusionary economic system that lasts the longest and creates the most prosperity. So that's the one that they've chosen. And this creates the Star Trek scenario, because if you have capitalism, you have to have growth. If you have to have growth, eventually the planet will become overpopulated. And what that then means is you have to move off the planet and into space. And I've been told that that's the path that was chosen by the people we see as the white hats or the good guys. And even if they're not white hats, they're a lot less of a black hat than the current black hats are. And that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you can see that there's changes going on, and changes for the better. So,
well, yeah, but I mean, can you trust Barr? Can you trust Anthony Barr? I don't trust him until I see him actually do something. I'm not trusting him. I don't know. He seems like swamp to me, came from the Bush administration. We'll see. We shall see. Hopefully this is it. Hopefully we are on the brink of something extraordinary.
Yeah. I mentioned it on my show last week or 2 weeks ago when this all really started, that I'm really excited to see what amazing, innovative, and creative things are going to come out of all this. Like when Beethoven was locked away for the plague and Newton was locked away in isolation for the plague, they came up with Gravity and some of the best musical pieces in our history. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to come out of this. And for example, someone made a post saying, wouldn't it be funny if it was a mom, kind of like the Valdez with the oil and the Dawn liquid soap. It was a mom that came up with an idea. It's a mom that comes up with something simple like Airborne, the little chewable tablets that saves the day. But
I've heard.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard space technology, which is part of the reason why Space Force was created, and medical technologies are going to come out. And I wonder if this hydroxychloroquine isn't one of the medical technologies that's been known about. Maybe we've had a cure for all viruses for years in this drug combination, and it just hasn't been introduced to people or allowed to be put forward. But then Trump used this crisis to put it forward. Remember, he put this forward. He's the one who said, we're going to try this drug, hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin. So it became the Trump cure. And, I can see that being medical technology that's put forward that stops a lot of issues. We have to look at how to shield ourselves from electromagnetic radiation, which is detrimental to human health. This whole thing started because of 5G.
Yeah.
So, 5G technology.
Do you think that's running right now, the way everybody's so calm and everybody went to their rooms when they were told to without throwing a big
No,
fish?
I think people are scared. No, Doc, I think people are scared.
Okay.
I think they're scared. They think they're going to catch the bug. I think the bug is far less virulent than they're trying to make us believe.
But fear is the main tool.
What's that?
But fear is the main tool.
The fear is the main tool. But I do think that, if you look at the history of pandemics, every time there's a new electromagnetic radiation introduced into the planet gets sick. The 1918 Spanish flu epidemic was when radio was introduced in widespread use all around the country. We had a huge global pandemic right around World War II when radar technology was introduced. We had another one in 1968 when they started putting out communication satellites, bouncing electromagnetic signals all over the planet. Yeah. Then we had the 1990s where we had, more satellite communications and the introduction of cellular phone networks. We had the Ebola crises, and now we have various different cellular phone technologies.
We got Elon's chain of satellites, thousand satellites
Yeah.
or something. That's just going to literally encompass the planet.
Yeah, and look, 5G was introduced 6 months ago, basically, not even a year ago, and then we have this immediate crisis. And there's very compelling video. I put it on my YouTube channel from a Dr. Thomas Cowan, who basically connects all this stuff and says, look, it's viruses are not contagious; they are the byproducts of a disease cell, and it's the electromagnetic radiation that causes the disease.
It modifies it.
So I think a huge growth technology in the future is going to be EM shielding, EM frequency shielding for the human body. Whether it's, some people think it's a crystal or this or that thing, but whatever. Somebody who figures that out is going to make our health a lot better. And then, I was told the other day by my contact that that these med beds do exist. Have you heard about these?
I was just about to bring that up with you. That was my next question is, what is your thoughts on these med beds? Because I've been following it for the past 3 or 4 years when it first was mentioned. And the science, just a common guy like me, I'm not no PhD in anything, the concept of a laser beam being able to project at a molecular level and basically print, like in, what was it, the Fifth Element. Sounds really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's more like the med beds that are in Elysium. That's what I understand. They are the film Elysium.
True. Yes.
That's where they're sort of presaging for us that these things exist. But what I understand is that they do exist, but there's only 2 of them in the United States right now. So that means only the elite of the elite are getting access to them, and I don't know who controls them. That was not clarified to me who controls them, but that is one of the technologies that's going to be introduced. And and from what I understand, it's basically heal and optimize all the cells in your body and your DNA, and it can age you back 30 years. So we can put Mike in the med bed, and I can wake up.
Yeah, because
not only 30 years old again, but which means that my beard will be gone because I don't have a beard. I didn't have a beard when I was 30, and my vasectomy will be fixed, and I'll have my gallbladder back.
Yeah.
I better watch it.
It's basically the computer is taking your DNA, not structure. What's what we're looking for?
But it's
equation or whatever, and it is manipulated. And that equation is from your original best state.
Blueprint. Your original
blueprint.
idealized DNA blueprint,
exactly.
Right? Which and also it has to do with the fact that apparently human beings are basically plasma. In there, that essentially we are all mostly plasma, and that plasmas can be manipulated and kind of like, manipulated into anything. You can go from plasma to a gaseous, liquid, or solid state, right? And so they can just take because you're all basically at the core plasma. So then that's why I got really interested the other day when I heard Donald Trump talking about the blood plasma treatment for the coronavirus. And, when I hear him use certain keywords like that I know have something to do with this, my ears prick up and I'm like, oh, okay. So because what they're doing is they're trying to introduce these concepts to us so that when the technology is revealed, which hopefully will be soon, it'll be more natural and it'll seem logical and it won't be such a shock, and people won't go, well, did we get this from aliens or something? You know what I'm saying? That they'll sort this out.
That was at Roswell, didn't you know?
Yeah, they don't want that. They want a steady jump from point to point to point. And I had another thought too about hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin with zinc. And I thought, look, the person who broke this hydroxychloroquine really was Sean Hannity on Fox News last week. He's the one who brought the patient forward and connected with the Jewish doctor who was treating people with this. And there are 2 people in the media that are patriots, that are directly connected to the White House, that get information, talk to the president. Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh. And Rush Limbaugh has lung cancer. Very, very serious lung cancer, and he had surgery recently, I think, to remove big chunks of his lungs. And I thought, well, what would happen if Rush Limbaugh came on and said, and he was supposed to come back last Friday. I don't know if he came back today or not. And said, well, I have coronavirus. It made my respiratory, because he was actually sick before he went away for his surgery 10 days ago. He was not coronavirus necessarily. What if he said, I have coronavirus. I went on this hydroxychloroquine with zithromycin, blah, 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 and it cured my COVID-19 virus, but it also cured my cancer. Because there are people who argue that cancer is actually a virus. And if this really is an antiviral, I really think what it does is it just repairs the cells, and so the virus goes away. I don't think it really does anything. But again, what if this was, because Trump, don't forget, a year or so ago said, I'm going to cure cancer. We're going to cure cancer, he said. So, usually when Trump says something, he means it.
Yeah, he's got something to back it up.
Yeah. Now, I've been told subsequently that no, Limbaugh is under conventional treatment and they're giving him massive amounts of chemotherapy and that's going to ruin it. But I've been told that I have also been told that this treatment protocol could be an effective treatment for lung cancer. It would not cure all cancers, but it might cure lung cancer, which would lead us to other ideas for treatments of all the other cancers. Yeah, this is how medical technologies are going to be introduced, and then the ultimate end of this is going to be the med bed.
Yeah.
Which, if there's only 2 of them, I do know there is some alien technology involved with the med bed. It's going to be a more difficult thing to introduce in terms of shock value, but it's also going to be, it'll change the way everybody looks at life. And it's also, Doc, if you could live to be 900 years old, you might go try 25 years on Mars.
Oh, yeah.
See what it was like to build a new life there or something as things evolve. So these things have the potential, if these stories are real, and I've been told they are real, have the potential to really change our whole perspective and how we look at our lives and how long we live and what our objectives are in life.
Yeah. Wow. No, I'm really stoked about it all coming, and it seems to be going faster and faster as the days progress.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also seeing this, I don't want to say full awakening, but I'm seeing an awakening around the world. So, would you be down with some questions? I got 3 people in the waiting room.
Sure.
That want to.
Sure.
All right. So I know Kimberly and Misty and Donna are here. We had Chris Gentry earlier who said he actually has a friend in Chicago who's on a ventilator and sedated, needs 40% oxygen. Now, if that's due to corona or not, I don't know. But
it possibly could be. I mean, I'm not saying Caucasian people can't get sick from coronavirus, and they can't get very seriously ill, especially if they have other underlying health conditions.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it binds to certain protein receptors that are far more common in, for instance, Asian men than they are in Asian women or Caucasian males, or, for instance. I'm not saying you can't get sick. I'm not saying you can't die from it. But, the main thing is to get him on hydroxychloroquine, zithromycin, and zinc immediately. That's the key thing that has to happen.
Right.
So hopefully, because so far, according to the Jewish doctor in New York, he's now treated 799 patients as of earlier today, 100% cure rate.
Fantastic.
So.
All right. Well, we're going to bring in Misty Smith. Let's see. Misty, you have to unmute your microphone. And hopefully, maybe she's been on hold this whole time. Unmute. There we go. Remember, folks, if you come in, you gotta unmute it on your end. Let's see, unmute, and yeah, she might have left the room. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll leave it there until she might come back. We're gonna bring in Donna Thompson if she's here. Donna, let's see. They've probably been waiting so long. They're like doing their laundry now and don't even.
But see, you got to give them a warning that you're going to do questions.
Yeah. All right, so we'll have them there. Anybody in the chat room on Zoom that wants to come on board? If not, I'm going to remove. All right, but let's see. Over in the YouTube chat room, I haven't even been paying attention, so I apologize, everybody. Thank you all for coming on board. Verum says there's been lots of chopper helicopter activity in Orlando for the past several months. And then there was talk about Project Looking Glass, which we've already discussed. Not just Miss Justice says, not just CEOs stepping down, over 1,300 since last year. Most recently, last Tuesday, politicians selling stocks in December and January. Liquidations possibly running scared. And I know for a fact that a lot of people have moved into their, Vivos bunker somewhere in the world.
Right.
And I've seen firsthand businesses shutting down. They've been around for decades. And the minute the order was put in place, not non-essentials can't open, they were like, "Yeah, I'm selling all my stuff."
Yeah,
we're out.
Yeah. A lot of those people that left in December, January, there's people who caught wind of coronavirus, a lot of them. And then there's the other scenario, which is there's this asteroid scenario out there, which is, every couple of years, every couple of years, an asteroid's going to hit the Earth and wipe us all out. Now, this one is different because they're saying what the asteroid is going to do is it's going to enter the atmosphere and explode in the atmosphere. It's like a bolide, like the Tunguska event in Siberia in 1908. And that's going to create a massive EMP pulse, which is going to knock out the power grid or knock out the internet or whatever. Or that may also just be an excuse. So that's probably why a lot of people are hunkering down, or they wanted to avoid getting rounded up in these arrest trials. So we'll see. And most people that are in powerful positions like that have a lot of money, it's, they got a lot of temptations, Doc, and I'm sure that a lot of them are. A lot of them
things to do because they that's why they get all sick and twisted because they've done it all. They can afford to do it all, and then they're like, okay, now what? Oh well, let's go to the dark side. And
it does happen. I mean, that's kind of what Westworld was all about before it got really terrible.
Yeah. Well, it is. There's so much going on, like on Netflix, all these pandemic and flu movies, and there's a movie that you cannot see on Netflix in the United States, just in the UK. It's a South Korean film that came out 2017, where they talk about the coronavirus, and of course they make it a lot worse with a higher mortality rate.
Right.
But the things
right. What they were hoping this would be, right? What they were hoping this one would be. Sorry, let me shift positions here a little bit. What they were kind of hoping that this virus would turn out to be, which it didn't actually work out that way. Now, the thing is, you have to remember, this is a genetically designed bioengineered virus. It was designed by the Chinese they were hoping wipe out about 100 million of their people that they didn't feel like they needed or wanted. And that has not been successful. They've only got to about 30 million. And I was told today that there are 5 different coronaviruses, variants of it, that have now come out, and none of them is working. So I suspect the U.S. is engaged in a lot of countermeasures, to
supposedly
keep
there's 27 million cell phone accounts that had just shut off in
China. So I heard somewhere between 20 and 30 million actual victims, and they were hoping for 100. That's what I heard.
Wow. Well, I know some of those guys way up high in the military, they're like, "No, that's nothing. That's nothing. We can sacrifice that."
Yeah.
We got so many people. And then they heard that they just opened up the meat markets again, and they haven't done anything to appease anybody on how they prepare or sell the rat or kimchi or whatever they're selling on the street corners.
Yeah, I hear that too. Pretty horrific stuff, really. Very uncivilized.
It's insane. Oh, especially other like domestic animals. Anyway, China, come on, figure it out. You don't have to be so.
Well, they have a long way to go.
Yeah.
To become a civilized country,
Do you think they're gonna? Do you think there's gonna be this big war that there's rumor of between us and them? And this is what's you think?
No. I think that. I think after look, we have to get rid of the dark elements that have been trying to ferment these wars forever. I do think the Chinese would like to defeat us, but I don't think they're. As long as we make it not worth their while. In other words, they would lose all their power if they were to confront us. I don't think it'll happen. So we have to maintain our technological edge. And look, let's be really honest. in the last 8 years, especially, we became very weakened before Trump came along, and we were vulnerable. And had he not won, I think in some way, shape, or form, we would have seen the end of the United States by 2024,
like
as we know it.
or something.
Yeah, even worse than that. Yeah, for sure.
So, for some out there, I'm sure this question has answered everybody's mind. When do you think we should start going into training for Thunderdome?
Well, if Thunderdome's a thing, I'm not going to be around very long. I know that. So. I'm a wimp. So
cheering out there, all those women around, you'd be like, you do it.
Yeah. I want trial by combat, and I want him to fight for me.
There you go. Yeah.
Trial by combat.
Surrogates to do it.
So yeah, I don't know. Soon.
Well,
so.
Tell people where they can watch your new podcast that you've been doing, and you've been doing it a year now, right?
Yeah, I've been doing the Real Ready report. What is it? I should know my own. I should know my own little show that I've been doing. Well, I got Tell the Truth Wednesday on Wednesday. It's a real deal report, news report, with me and Dean Ryan and Jim Fetzer. That's on my YouTube channel. All you got to do is Google Mike Bara with one R, Bara, YouTube, and go on in. There's all the latest reports, and you should watch them consecutively because they do have a lot of they have information that kind of builds on a chain. And then I've got Tell the Truth Wednesday on my YouTube channel, and I'm also on Facebook. You can get any of my books, which are not about any of this stuff. My books are all about aliens, and a little bit of the JFK conspiracy starts to stretch into the deep state stuff, the book Hidden Agenda, NASA and the Secret Space Program, and then Ancient Aliens and JFK are kind of, I'm beginning to leak into the deep state stuff. But that's what's in the news. That's what's firing me up. And to me at the moment, aliens are almost like an afterthought, even though that's where I made my bones, was in alien hunting.
Right?
So
it seems
they're
like
kind of an afterthought.
lately. It's just lately. It seems everybody's all, aliens, and now it's kind of
it was kind of bad. I saw an advertisement for a new, for an Ancient Aliens episode, and I was just kind of like, wow, I'm really not interested, and I would think most people aren't either. So even that are fans of the show, so it just seems like it's taken all that stuff off the front pages. Although I do understand, and I will tell you this: there is a possibility of an event around July 4th or 5th this summer, of something that may, as I was told, change the conversation.
Do tell.
Yeah, Saturday the 4th or Sunday the 5th.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
not going to tell you.
Or over
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you because I don't know yet, but there's two possibilities out there.
Okay. Tickle me intrigued. All right.
Again, watch my videos. Go to my YouTube page. Yep. And look for my most popular video. That'll give you a hint.
Oh, okay. Well, I know what I'm doing after this.
So all you got to do is go through and look at some of them and see which ones YouTube promotes and go, oh, maybe I should watch that video. You'll get a hint, but I'm not 100% sure that that's...
Well, the one last thing I want to ask,
that's
though,
the scenario.
Is Q and JFK Jr. and his wife and sister-in-law, yes or no? Around or not?
John F. Kennedy Jr. is alive.
Yes, that's what I wanted to hear. Because
from multiple sources. I have that from multiple sources that I trust. I have not spoken to the guy who might be Q. I have not spoken to him about it yet, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's just if you have common sense and you look at him and the older pictures and put them together. No?
Vincent Fusca is, if he's not John F. Kennedy Jr., he's made from, he's genetically, he's a clone or something. It's him. It's absolutely him. And the other lady is definitely Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. So there's no question. And to me, that's the clincher.
And what's
my God, the lady who looks like Carolyn, who was with Vincent Fusca at the Trump rally. I mean, there's this one picture and she's wearing Jackie Kennedy ring from the White House days, right on her finger. It's probably really Jackie Kennedy's real ring. It's not a replica. So,
well, didn't he
you
wear
know,
his dad's like suit and tie, the skinny thing?
yeah,
the
yeah, and Kavanaugh hat and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. And, yeah. So, you know,
My mom was at a rally in Houston where Santa Claus came out, and I was like, "Did you see this guy?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, he was standing by me the whole time." And I was like, "Do you want to know who that really was?"
yeah, I'm not positive about the Santa Claus one because I can't see the face clearly enough. But
Right.
but I definitely, yeah, Vincent Fusca is JFK Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you think he's going to make his debut? Is it going to be after the aliens land, or?
I don't know if it'll be after the aliens land. I think, look, look, here's the thing, Doc. We don't know that we're on a go with all this until the Days of Darkness hit. If that hits, then it's a go. The plan is a go.
Okay.
That's how we will know for sure. And I can't see it not happening right now, the way things are going. So we will see him not too long after that. I've been told that people know all about Mike Pence and about his treason. And again, the gunner's wife is a YouTube channel. She's done great videos of lip reading what Pence and Pelosi were saying to each other at the State of the Union. He's a traitor. He's in on the attempt to overthrow Trump. And believe me, I've been told absolutely that all these rumors are true and that he is not going to be the vice presidential candidate in November, if in fact there is an election in November. So we'll have to wait and see about that.
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Wow.
That Pence will not be there. So what
are you going to do?
So that would put it between now and, probably, I don't know, July for something to happen along those lines.
So what are you going to do during those 3 to 5, 10 days of darkness? You got like Scrabble.
Well, if the internet is out, first of all, if they start playing the videos, I'm going to love watching those. There's no question. I'm going to love, like, oh yeah, I knew that. I knew that.
Got a
Ooh,
VCR.
I didn't actually know that one. Yeah, there's probably going to be 3 or 4 things I didn't know.
Yeah.
After that, I'm going to play an awful lot of Panzer Corps on my computer. As long as my computer's still working but not connected to the internet, I can play some Panzer Corps. Who knows? At the moment, I'm attempting to encircle Montgomery at Tobruk and take Tobruk as Rommel. So maybe I'll get that accomplished over the next 3 to 5 days.
Fantastic. Well, brother, I always love having you on, and I look forward to. I've already got your ticket, so
yeah, I got a feeling
lined up for October. But if for any reason, goes a little more downhill, I'll know by July. But
yeah,
as of now, we're locked in. You're there. It's going to be the 45th anniversary of the Travis Walton Experience. Travis will be there as well as his family. The loggers. Still waiting on the definite on the sheriff. So. It'll be cool. We'll also be watching the documentary. We also scheduled to appear. We got John D'Souza. We've got
John.
Yeah, Jim Goodall, who worked on the SR-71 Blackbird. Friends with Bob Lazar and a bunch of people. Anyway, and several others. I got some surprises.
Oh, good. I like Lazar. I don't know if I've ever met him. I'd like to.
Oh no, not Lazar. He's friends with Lazar, but maybe I'll make a call.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I got a feeling we're going to have a really interesting disclosure con this fall. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
Hopefully, all these questions aren't still up in the air. Hopefully, we've had resolution on a lot of them. So.
Right. Well, this year you get a cabin. I mean, we got a cabin resort that's a sponsor,
right.
So you get a fireplace and all that fun stuff, and it's gorgeous.
Sounds good.
Laura was there last year.
Okay.
Do
I get a cabin with Laura?
If she wants to come, I don't have her on the schedule yet. I actually had this thing scheduled and booked a week after this last Disclosure Con, so because I knew I was going to be working on these other projects and films and going to Spain, and so I just nipped it in the butt. But I don't know what's going to happen. Who's still going to want to come or not? But I know you're in, and yeah.
I don't believe we're going to be under coronavirus quarantine in October. I don't think so. So
yeah, well, I'm hoping. So, and if a few other people want to come on board, I don't know, maybe a third day. I don't know. It's 2 days,
all
and
right.
I've cut the crew in half, so we've got time in between. Nobody's on top of each other. We'll have lunch breaks, dinner breaks. I'll be able to take you guys to dinner. And then, let me tell you, you were there the first year. You were there for the christening of Disclosure Con. But the second year, it went up a notch. Our
Good.
parties at night. Well, you can ask Laura about that too, and Jim Goodall and everybody. We had dancing aliens,
oh wow, yeah, that sounds thrilling.
You know,
green alien girls. Okay, great.
Yeah, you know the big inflatable alien. It's carrying.
Yeah.
Everybody was taking turns, and it was just awesome.
Well, stay safe, everybody. Stay optimistic. Life is good. It's going to get better. That's what I think.
Awesome. Well, Mike, thanks for coming on the show, and we will talk again soon. I'm going to make you vanish, but if you want to hang on, you're more than welcome to. I'm sure there was questions. Oh, there's a bunch of messages that got retracted. I guess. I guess they're off.
Oh,
what does that mean?
I don't know. We can still answer questions if there's questions in there. If people want to resend them, we can still do that.
Interesting that Bush Senior funeral, no acknowledgement to VP Press. Oh, we already talked about all that. The funeral, which was, like I said, a Godfather movie. No, we had everybody entranced. So,
okay, good.
Fantastic. All right, sir. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to flash you out, and I'm going to say goodbye, and then I'll chat with you for a second, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, man.
Cool. All right, everybody. So this is Doc Skinner with 1028 Live. This, what's today? Yeah, Monday. I'm not used to doing Mondays. I'm used to doing just Tuesday and Thursdays, but we're going all week. And, oh, wait. Hold on. Transition. There we go. Still learning all the buttons. I will see you guys all tomorrow, where we will have Blake and Brent Cousins from Hawaii. They're the gentlemen that run the amazing YouTube channel, Third Phase of Moon. So we'll be talking UFOs and underground secret bunkers and whatever they want to talk about. It's their show. So thank you so much for everybody that came on board. All these people. Dylan, hey, what's up? I was just talking about you earlier. And then Miss Justice, Dave Dennis from Australia, Tina Payne, Chas, Carlstrom, Varium Diceri, but she retracted all of her messages, so I don't know if she's still here. Reba, hi, Reba. Let's see, Audrey. And David says it feels like we're participating in a weird sick sci-fi movie, and you're right, it kind of does feel that way. He talks about adrenochrome, and yeah, we didn't talk about that. We should have brought that up. I forgot. Sounds fine. Mike is a tinny. Yeah, you all had a great time. So thank you so much from my little hidden underground bunker in isolation, day 15. Surprised I remember how many days I've been in. 15. So I've done the 2 weeks, but I'm still congested. I'm still not 100%, so I gotta stay home just a little longer. Audrey, thank you very much. Great show. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Audrey. Glad you did. Okay, so please, if you could all do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell for all notifications, so that way you get to be notified of when we go live. I've got some amazing guests that will be coming up soon, and yeah, so look forward to it. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's show. Mike is awesome. He's been a special guest of the show multiple occasions, and at DisclosureCon. Which, if you don't know about DisclosureCon, if you like going to the UFO conferences, that's fun. But if you also like going to Comic-Cons, that's a lot of fun. Well, imagine if you have sci-fi and sci-reality collide under one roof. Wait, where am I? Here when you have that, you have DisclosureCon. It's a lot of fun. You get to hear some amazing speakers. We're doing hour sets with the speakers, with breaks in between, lunch and dinner, and all that fun stuff. So you can get your tickets, actually. Yeah. There's a button on there, so you can click on the ticket. You can see who's going to be on the schedule, and you can get hotel rooms at the Honda Casino Resort. That's HON-DAH, like duh. Okay, Honda.com, or go to the Honda Casino Resort. You can reserve your rooms for that weekend, as well as one of our sponsors, Whispering Pines Cabin Resorts, and also Green Tree Inn Hotel, Best Western Hotel. So, call them, get your rooms, get your tickets, and get that all lined up. It is a weekend pass ticket, We're not doing each individual day, just for the whole weekend, so you can enjoy the entire weekend. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. Just go check it out. Check it out. All right, so I'm gonna call it. Let's see. Dennis says you need sunlight, vitamin C. Oh, that's because of the lamp. I just look really pale. So, all right. Audrey says I hope to make it to Disclosure Con this year. I really want to go. Well, all right. So if anybody wants to go, this is what you got to do. Either you can drive here or you can fly to Phoenix, rent a car. It's a 3-hour drive up the mountain, just telling you now. Or you can take a puddle jumper on Boutique Airlines from Phoenix to Sholo Airport, and then rent a car and drive, 15 minutes down the road to the casino. It's simple as that. So it's beautiful here. It's not the desert. There's no cactus. There's no desert. It's beautiful pine trees. We're around 7,000 to 8,000 feet up in the bottom of the White Mountains, or the bottom of the Rocky Mountains is what we call the White Mountains. Yeah. Anyway, come check it out. Okay, I am going to look for the end button and make this all go away till tomorrow, Lord willing. See you then with the guys from Third Phase Moon live right here on 1028 Live. I gotta find the stop button, and I gotta get me an outro. Make it cool, with music, and credits that, well, don't really need credits. Oh, and also, if you guys like what you see and you want to help, help this channel out, then there's some donation links also in the, what's it called? The description of the video. Yeah, so you can just do that. And thank you very much in advance. All right, I'm out. I got to find this button. Goodbye. Seriously. All right.